Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 10 of Thick and Thin with LB and Duty. Obviously, this is not the live show right now. I had to pre or post record this because I forgot to hit record on the live vidcast about 10 minutes in. Don't worry, you only missed about a 10-minute speech of what LB is reading, and it wasn't very interesting. So, before we get to the show, I get this opportunity to let you guys know that next week on Tuesday, the show will no longer be airing at 3:45 Central live. That is because I have to go to work now, which means the show will probably not air until, I think we're shooting at 6:30 p.m. Central. That's about the time. So stay tuned if you want to watch the live vidcast. It still will be happening on Tool to Play /live. It still will be on Twitch TV live, and you can still watch us talk about video games until you are bored and shut us off. So until then, without further ado, this is Thick and Thin with LB and Duty, episode 10. Enjoy. Right on. Well, I can't read. So instead, I do what I normally do, which is play video games and really just be angry at how shitty they are. That's what I did. Although I did play some Battlefield again this week, and my new thing now is I do the 300% ticket deal, right?
Yes.
And all I do is I play for 1 hour, and it's one game. And it lasts up to an hour and a half. One game. And it's one map, and you just kill for like an hour and 30 minutes. And like by the end of it, you're like, Jesus, what am I doing with my life? It's the greatest.
And it's on Metro too.
And it's on Metro, yeah.
It's always like a smaller map.
So
you know
awesome.
where everyone's gonna be. You just sit there with a big, light machine gun and hold it down with the extended clip and see what happens.
Yeah, that's like my new thing. I love it. If anyone hasn't played Battlefield 3, Metro's like, it's kind of how it sounds. It's a metropolitan area, and there's built like tight little corners everywhere. And if you play with, a ton of tickets, you basically it can last. I've had 2-hour games where like it's 2 hours. I get up, I go take a piss, I grab a beer, I bake a cake, come back, have a light snack. And like by the end of it, you've got like 176 kills and 42 deaths, but you get a ton of experience. I don't know. That's my new thing. I don't know. What about you? You still playing any Battlefield now that we got the server up?
Yeah, I'm still playing. Hop in every once in a while. I'll play with Too Fat and some of his crew, or I look to see if anybody's on our server or whatnot, and it's a good time. It's just Too Fat and his guys a lot of time like to play hardcore.
They love their hardcore.
And and hardcore has its place, but I mean, the only time I don't like it is when it's on the super huge maps,
Yeah,
And,
I don't like that either.
You're sitting there with no radar. There's no little orange Dorito above the enemy head, and
Right.
you just sat there running 20 minutes to get across the map, and then the sniper hits you in the head, and you spawn back at base because there's no squad to spawn on.
Yeah, I get the like of hardcore because actually, I didn't mention this. When I do play now with the 5 million tickets, I play as hardcore because, I figured why play regular at this point. So I just like, yeah, I play hardcore. It's hardcore in Metro, billions of tickets, 5-hour game.
No.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You
It's
end up
awesome.
shooting your own team when you just
All
can't
the
sit there and
time,
blind
dude.
fire.
I get booted like 6 times out of one game. I get booted all the time. I got one time, so this was last night. It was like 1 a.m. I was playing. It was like a 2.5-hour game. And if you want to talk about nerd rage, I get booted. You spend all that time playing. You get booted, and the guy sent me a message. He's like, "I saw your profile. Too old to play, huh? Not very mature to kill other people." That was it. That's all he showed me. He's all over my grill. He's like, "Too old to play, huh? Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Killing other people? Really?" I don't know. Tons of fun. Anyway, speaking of Battlefield, we did get the server up. So if you guys are looking for a server, we have a Tool to Play server. If you go to Battlefield and you get on the Xbox Liveys and you search, you can just search for Tool to Play from the actual menu. And the server pops up and you can join it. And the way we have it set up now, we're rolling in the V3 stuff with SCC. So if you want to like help with the server costs and help the site at the same time, you can donate to the server, and that unlocks the V3 stuff. And we're going to be rolling out all that stuff in the coming week, especially the old V3 people like LB, or V2 people like LB that were doing SEC and Shadow and a couple other guys. We're rolling that stuff over. And once that rolls over, you'll get admin rights to the actual server. So you can do whatever you guys want. Anyone from Tool to Play can join the server. It is public. So just be aware of that. There will be Timmys there. There might be Tool to Play people there that you don't know because of their tag. So if you do donate and you become an admin, just kind of be aware of everyone around you. You can change any of the settings. I don't care. You can go public. You can go private, but just if you're going to go private, let people know in the Battlefield division so that they're not like, why can't I get into the server? Go hardcore, go not hardcore. I don't care. Just do whatever you want to do. Don't care. And then that way, since we rolled it in with the SEC stuff, you also will remove all the ads from the site. You'll be able, and this is what I have functioning right now. You'll be able to remove all the ads from the site. You'll be able to change your username at any time that you want, so you don't have to bug me if you ever want to change your username for whatever reason. You get access to the SEC forum and all that other stuff. So, and we're going to just keep doing more and more stuff as time goes on. And you're a pussy. Literally. So that's it for the server stuff. And you've been playing on the server, right, LB? So what do you think about the private servers now that we're like a week and a half in?
It's pretty good. The only thing that they can actually be annoying is when you're playing and, say you got 80 of your buddies that want to go play, and you get in the server, you got your 8 buddies in, and then you're sitting there kind of waiting for other people to
fill
join.
it up.
And you're like, come on, other people join. And then eventually you do get people to join, and you do get it filled up, and then it just keeps rolling. But that's the only thing where it's kind of a little bit of a bummer. But otherwise, it's great. I mean, if you want to figure out how to fly the damn chopper, just go ahead in the server, load it up, hop in a chopper, and you can fly around for a while, and then you don't have to worry about people really joining. You got time to learn how to fly. But
yeah, it's good for practice in that sense. I didn't even think to mention that too. So if you are going to join, your best bet is to actually join with a group of, I would say, at least 4 if you want to get it to fill. It seems like once you get past a certain threshold, like once you get the 8, like if you get a team of 8 and you go in there, it fills up like 2 minutes. Your people see it and they start to fill in. And then once it's up and running, it's the whole night. As long as it's full, it'll stay full. But if you're going to like just join it and you're like, why is there no one here? You're by yourself. You're probably not going to get too far. No one joins a server with one thing on it. You know what I mean? No one does that, unfortunately. What else we got? Oh yeah. Other site news. So we're looking for more writers for the writing staff. So, we've had a pretty good run with the writing so far. I mean, if you haven't seen the front page, there's actually new shit there all the time. And we're looking to get more stuff out there. So if you want to write, if you're bored and you have nothing to do, maybe get some free video games to review some stuff from time to time. It's not a paid position, just like anything that has anything to do with the site at all. But, if you want to get your spoken word out there, if you want to write books like LB because he's so interested in them, you can.
Wow.
You can write the book of Tool to Play.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be like 2 pages long.
Yeah, a paragraph probably. Let's not come on now. Anyway, so if you want to do that, you want to send your email to tiffany@tooltoplay.com. That is the editor-in-chief. Do that. Help us out. Do some stuff with your time. Right? Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Why not?
Our topic this week, speaking of doing stuff with our time, is going to be free to play, which is kind of the model that you guys have seen around the PC world, and it is slowly but surely creeping into our console area. I guess the more loosely termed version of that, or an example, I guess, would be Call of Duty. Currently, Call of Duty has been free. Obviously, you buy the actual package. But after that, if you want to get anything, if they do updates or whatever, you get that. The only thing you pay for is maps. Now, with the way that they're doing Elite, it's kind of gone the opposite way of free-to-play, and it's more of a subscription model. But at the same time, you're able to pay for the maps outright. And so it's in this sort of nether realm of free-to-play. And if you don't know what free-to-play is, the standard free-to-play model that they've been using on the PC for, I don't even know, last 6 years, 7 years, what they'll do is you'll buy the game. So you'll actually spend the upfront money to purchase the game. Once you've bought that game, you basically get all content downloaded for free. So if you can move it over to the Call of Duty example again, what that would be like is if you bought Call of Duty, but every map Call of Duty ever released, you basically got for free. You got it for free. Now, after that, the way the free-to-play model works is they add perks or things, items in the game that don't change gameplay, but they may change like a visual appearance or something like that, and that you then pay for. And that's the money that they use to build the content, the free content that you would get. So, for example, again, using Call of Duties, if they had a gun or, whatever, and they were like, well, you can buy a gold gun, and the gold gun doesn't do anything other than be gold, but it's $10. So you go to the store, you buy the $10 gun. All your friends are like, you're super cool because you have a $10 gun. And the ladies love you. You instantly make more money at your job. Your wife respects you. And your children obey all of your commands. All because of this $10 gun that you bought at the store. So that's the general free-to-play model. And while that hasn't really come to fruition in the console market exactly how it is, we see a little bit of hints kind of here and there. And I guess the big question is, as successful as the free-to-play model is, or it seems to be, at least in the PC market, is that something you think, LB, that will be kind of a good thing to actually come over to the console market, maybe see its way into those types of games? For example, if the new Halo came out and they said, all the maps that Halo is going to have from this point on, free. You buy the game, free maps. But in order to pay for that content to actually create it, Bungie decides if you want a cool new Spartan uniform that has like sparkle ponies on it and laser beams shooting out of the shoulders, whatever. Is that a model that you would be interested in switching to as a Halo player? Go.
Well, in that specific example,
yes,
absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I would, sure. Why not? You're going to give me all the maps that you produce, and I'm not going to have to pay for them, and I'm only going to have to pay for something like skins or Master Chief helmets or whatnot, and that's really up to me, and it doesn't affect gameplay. Yeah, why not? Let's go for it. I do it, but that's not going to happen with the Xbox, dude.
Is there a reason?
Well, yeah, they want to make more money than that. They want to charge you for the maps. They want to charge you for anything extra they can do. They want to get a piece of the pie.
So they don't care, is what you're saying?
No, they don't, because they know people are just going to pay for it. They pay for it now. I mean, look at COD and COD Elite.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the example right now is the COD Elite thing. It's like,
yeah, get the COD Elite, you'll get all our DLC content, and it'll be great, and you'll get them early and fantastic and everything like that. And obviously they got enough people to sign up for it because there hasn't been a reduction in price.
Well, I guess the other thing is, and this is kind of, again, coming from the PC market, there's a couple games as examples I can even use. The Lord of the Rings MMO that came out, it did okay. Turbine released it, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even only 3 years ago. I can't remember now. It did okay, but when it switched to the free-to-play model, it made a lot of money, made some decent profits. Things started to turn around for the game, and they've released expansions and things like this since then. And it seems to me right now that the free-to-play model is generally used on games that are doing poorly, and then they enable this model to then make the game good. And I guess in the case of Call of Duty, the theory is they're going to buy it, and we could take a shit in a box and be like, it's $30 to download. And you'd be like, really? $30 for I really want a box of shit badly in my Call of Duty experience. I'm going to have to pay this money. And people pay it. So I suppose the real question is then, is that the only reason that people enable the free to play? And I mean, first of all, we've seen this model coming out with Monday Night Combat. They were talking about it in chat. That was the model that they used. I think Monday Night Combat, the first one, was $20 and there was no payment model after that, right? It was just $20 flat. Is that correct?
$20 flat.
Okay. And so now what they've decided in this Super Monday Night Combat, first of all, they're foregoing the console market completely. It is PC only, which has pissed a lot of people off. But then on top of that, the game is 100% free. You don't pay any upfront cost. They give you the game. Once you get the game, you can play all the content for free. You get all the updates for free. But if you want some small perks in the game, they call them taunts, right? They got the suits, different characters that you can buy. That's what they're going to use to actually support the game from that point on. And their statement about the whole Xbox thing was that they didn't think, well, first of all, they said the model isn't even supported within the Xbox Live community and or PlayStation for that matter. They use both as the example. And they said there's no way they could support it from that point on. And they had no plans or any future ideas to even bring it back to the console. Is that maybe just Xbox missing out on some easy revenue here? I would figure it'd be very easy for them to kind of move to that. You know, they've already got the marketplace. They've already got ways to download updates. Is it that crazy to have a service attached to a game like Elite does, where it just updates and you just buy from the Microsoft Store whenever you want points? I don't know. What do you think about that? Why doesn't it work?
Well, it already kind of blows my mind that they're going to give out that game for free. Because, I mean, is there enough data to support saying that, all right, if these people play this game, that later on they're going to want to buy taunts, they're going to want to buy skins, they're going to want to buy hats or clothing, and are they going to be able to make enough money that way? I don't know, because personally, if you're going to tell me, okay, for $10 you're going to get this really cool taunt, it's going to be a super fast teabag, and then you're going to spin around
right.
and crush a skull, I'm not going to pay $10 for that.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool. You know, maybe $2. Yeah, I'd pay $2 for it. So I think it's they can get my money, but it's going to be a price point deal.
So this almost falls then, I guess, what you're saying into the discussion we had last week, that topic, which was what's the price point that gets you to play a game? What's the price point that gets you in? Free is certainly a great one for anybody. I mean, it's like they're giving you a beta and they say, here's most of the game. You know, you can play it, you can do whatever you want inside the game, but at a point, if you're really into it, maybe you're going to want these extra taunts, maybe for a couple bucks. And I think that's why the industry right now is so afraid of free to play, because you're talking really about rolling the dice on your game. You know, you may spend $50 million to build a game out. You have a certain price point that you need to hit to cover those losses. And then let's say you don't hit them. Well, then at that point, when you don't hit those marks, you're saying, well, we got no choice. We got to go free to play. We're not making the money anyway. And I think that's why that model sort of comes in later on most of these games. Now, in a game like Monday Night Combat, where they're coming straight out the gate and they're saying, well, we're just banking on that people are going to buy these taunts. We don't even want your $20 up front. We're just hoping, that's really the roll of the dice there. Is like, we're praying to God you guys really like taunts. Because if you don't like taunts, we're all out of a job, right? I mean, that's kind of the ending to that scenario is, studios fold every day because of less than something like that. I mean,
and that's why I think they're probably going to be priced really cheap, because you don't want to run into that situation where people are going to be like, no, I'm not going to buy any of that. That's way too expensive. I just spent $40 on 4 taunts that really don't do anything for me. But if it's that's the key. If it's cheap enough, people aren't going to sweat a buck. People will download some retarded game on their phone for $1.
People download a flashlight on their game for $1.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's a buck. I'll do it." It's kind of like gambling in Vegas. That's why they use chips instead of cash. You don't really assess a true value to it when you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, I'm throwing out red chips. Big deal. It's $5. $5.
Right.
Well, 200 of those $5 chips later, you're like, damn.
And you're divorced.
I'm all done
with a hooker for a wife. You don't even know what happened after that.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm with you there. No, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest thing, the biggest company to make the move, and I don't know, I'm on Steam's nuts lately. I don't know what's wrong with me. I apologize, guys. I'm a super fanboy. But they did it with Team Fortress 2. We were talking about this before the show. We were trying to think of all the different variations of the model and where it's gone. But they just eventually said, you know what? We want to get more people to to get onto Steam. And once they get onto Steam, maybe they'll find some other games and maybe they'll buy them. So what they did was they made Team Fortress 2 completely free. One of their top selling games. This isn't a game that was doing poorly by any, sense of the imagination. Has a really strong community, one of the biggest, adamant communities probably out there. And they hit it out of the park. They started selling hats. I mean, I don't know if anyone in chat really likes hats this much, but
That's what I do.
if you would have told me about this idea and we did a show about it, I'd be like, these are the dumbest people. Who was going to buy these hats? Guess who? Everybody buys hats, it turns out. I don't get it. I mean,
How much are the hats?
I don't know.
How
They're
much
like
are they?
$2, $3, $5. It's like you said, they're cheap. $2, $1. And you wear them in game, and it's like and they made a ton of more money on the game. The game it kind of was in its lifespan and had already been a new game. People already paid for it, and people had already played. And then they figured, it's such a popular game, let's just make it free, get people onto the Steam. That's the big thing. I mean, even if they don't make the money, you now have Steam installed on your computer, right? And so from that point on, you may want to check out another game that Steam's offering, or maybe an old Valve game or whatever, and you might pay that money, and it already pays them back for what they've done. So I mean, Team Fortress 2, out of all of the examples, I think, particularly shows a way that not only can developers make money off free to play, but they can even grow their service off free to play. So I don't know. I mean, it's a strange model. It's sometimes the greatest idea and sometimes not. But I think the biggest lesson right now is that no one really goes free to play off the bat. It seems to be a way to get more people later or convert more people into playing the game. But outside of Monday Night Combat, you don't see it. Do you think we'll ever see it in a major game like a Halo, like a Call of Duty, or do you think it's just kind of left for the struggling ones, or a way to get you to play the next sequel or something?
You mean like completely free to play? I mean, you're going to get the game for free, or are you just talking you buy the original game and then you get all the content later for free, no added cost?
Both, because I think they both have relevance. I think buying the game outright but having the content delivered to you for free, using again Call of Duty or Halo as an example, would work, in my eyes, would work wonders. If you told me I could buy Halo 4 and then from that point on, Halo 4, they were going to just, hey, new map's coming out, and I just downloaded when I woke up in the morning, didn't pay a cent, there's no question I would jump onto that bandwagon. So I think both is really where I'm coming from, because I think both work.
Yeah, I think it could work, but I don't think the big publisher houses are going to be the ones taking the risk. They're going to see how everybody else does with it first, and then they'll tweak it to fit their own needs. I think having the game free initially works fantastic for indie developers.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can put out a game, people will be more likely to, well, hell, the game is free, or the game is $2. Yeah, I'll download it $2. And then if they like it, do those little sales of $1, $2 things, and then make all that money later on. That way your proof is in your work. If you think you have a concept that is there and it's going to, really bring home the money, that's the way to do it.
Right.
But, I would completely be stoked if Halo 4, 5, 6, 27, whatever it is.
All of them, because they will eventually all come out.
If I just have to pay one initial price and get everything that's going to come out for that specific game, sure, why not? I'd even pay more. I would pay, if they might even do this combo. You can go buy the game up front for your $60, or you can get the super duper edition for $100 or $110, but you get everything.
Right, it's like the a la carte. You can,
yeah, your map packs and everything like that. That's where I think Elite had the right idea. Just I think they priced it out way too much.
I agree. Yeah, that's my big thing with them as well.
Yeah, I think they kind of screwed themselves on that, because if they would have cut that in half, I think they would have had 2 or 3 times the amount of subscriptions than they would have had.
Yeah, and it's funny because that, again, falls back into the discussion from last week, which is price point. And at what point do you lower it where you actually see larger profits? And I think that's the whole idea of free to play, where you lower it so low, free, that people are like, well, why wouldn't I spend money on this? And then they sort of get so wrapped up in the game that they end up spending a lot more money on the game than they would have. And I actually believe it, even though I don't, I think you're right. Halo's probably not going to do something like this. I believe that if you had a game like Halo and you gave everyone the maps, if you had your little Master Chief that had like, a different color skin or maybe a BR that was gold or whatever, I feel like the Halo community, again, are, fanatic players, right? I think they'd buy the shit out of that. And I actually believe that they would make more money off of that model than they would just downloading maps. Maps are what? $12, right? We're talking about probably.
Yeah, 10, $12, depending on, how many they're giving.
10, $12. But if you're getting that for free, maybe you're going to buy some skins and maybe you're going to, I don't know. I think even a guy like me, and I don't like to spend money on anything. I think I could see myself buying a different suit, ninja suit, whatever. I would do it. Mm-hmm. And you're saying you would as well, right?
Yep, as long as, the price is right. And again, I'll go back to that. Just for like a suit, I'd say a complete suit, helmet, chest piece, a whole 9 yards, maybe $5, but even just a helmet, $1. Yeah, I do that. Or even the chest piece, $1. Yeah, I do that. That's the key. That is the pricing key right there.
Wait, so BC's saying even Bubba bought a monkey costume for his avatar. That's pretty bad.
That is. But how much was that monkey costume?
How much was that doggy in the window?
I guarantee it was probably maybe 5 or 7. I don't think it was like 15 or 20.
I have to agree with that.
And if it was 15 or 20, and the next time I'm going to see him, I'm going to be like, what the fuck, dude?
$3, $5. Yeah, I feel like $3, $5 is like I don't know, like anywhere past 5 seems to be expensive, depending on what the item is, obviously. But since a lot of these free-to-play games usually use, visual changes to be there's not too many visual changes that you can enable in a game that would have you spending, let's say, $15 or something. Unless you're getting like a pack, let's say, you get a power pack for $15. You maybe save $2 on the power pack, whatever. And right there, you've made more money off of the power pack than you would on a $12, thing of maps. I don't know, man. I feel like it would be good. Well, let me ask the chat, and let me specifically ask Deep, who loves his Halo so dearly. So dearly. Would you buy some little changes to your sexy Master Chief, possibly making him a little bit more sexy? Would you? Would you spend the money? I think you would. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like you would. So if you see, yes, he says yes.
Yeah.
I think we've already told Microsoft where to go with their game. I feel like we should be paid right now. I don't know.
I agree. They won't listen, but
they won't listen, but as long as we keep talking. And so with that too, we kind of move on to another new release, which we were talking about earlier today. A release near and dear to my heart, which, by the way, we're talking on the day that the pre-order just went live, is Guild Wars 2. And so Guild Wars 2 is kind of taking this free-to-play model, but they're turning it up a notch in that they are not waiting till they fail to enable free-to-play like we were talking about. Instead, they're banking their entire system on it, and they have spent quite a bit of money on their development, and the game has been in development for almost 6 years. It just got pre-ordered this morning. I believe at actually midnight. They did like a whole midnight release. You could go to Best Buy and do that whole nonsense and buy the $700 collector's edition and shoot yourself in the foot at the same time, because that's what I think about collector's editions. But it's an MMO, and MMOs since forever have been subscription. I mean, until a lot of these companies decide, hey, we're losing money, let's go free to play. One of the most hyped PC games in the last 5 years, I'd say. I mean, people are going apeshit about this. The media says it's the greatest game ever, and everyone that's tried it is sort of salivating over it. I'm excited for it, but then again, I generally get excited about MMOs and then get disappointed by MMOs shortly after. SWOTOR. But, you do what you got to do, right? So they're going to say no subscription right off the bat. You pay for the game itself. Once you pay for the game, any updates, expansions, all that stuff, totally free. But you'll be able to buy what they call not play-to-win items. And by play-to-win, that's what most people fear about the free-to-play market, which is I buy a gun that you can't get or you can't unlock, and therefore I have an advantage over you in the game. So they're doing stuff within the MMO where it's like, you want a nice little feathered hat or a nice little skirt? Get a nice skirt for your tune. $5. And that's pretty amazing. I mean, they're banking on free to play before the game even comes out. Now, do you think a game like that is going to be successful, Albie? I mean, given the hype and everything that's going around it, going straight free to play?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's had its big hype wheel going around, and I've seen the videos on it, and it looks pretty cool. And I go to the website and look for new blog updates and all like that. Um, again, I can think they make up their money on small incremental sales.
Yeah.
If I want to get that cool ass looking staff that I'm going to use to do whatever it is, but it doesn't give me an advantage over somebody else, but just looks badass, hell yeah. Or if, like, even in SWOTOR, if you could have had my female companion, if I could have, like, adjusted her breast size and given her,
so you literally
special
paying for a breast implant? Is that what you're telling me? In the game, you'd pay for it?
Damn straight. There you go. Bam.
Take my money. Throw money
Here's
at the
my
monitor.
money.
Take it. Right.
But yeah, I think it'll work. And the more, like you said, the more fanatical people get, the more involved they are into the game. And then you come out with something that's like, oh, wow, that is like really cool. I think they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people spend those couple extra bucks to get that cool item.
Well, now here's the real kicker with Guild Wars.
Hit me.
I was saving it. So now we've already established that, usually the game companies need to fail before they go free to play, or it's kind of a new model, but it's the rage, right? So of course, to not be outdone with starting their model as free to play, what they're also going to allow you to do in this game is use real life currency to purchase game currency and vice versa. So if you don't know about World of Warcraft, you don't know about any MMO, you're totally oblivious to the fact. Currency is obviously what you use to buy things in the game. You go to a bank or an auction house, a guy's selling a cool vest or a sword or whatever, and you play the game in order to earn currency to buy that item. Now, what you're going to be able to do in Guild Wars 2 is say, I really want a sword, but I'm lazy and I'm also rich. And therefore, because I'm lazy and rich, like most rich, lazy people are, I'm just going to buy the sword outright. You spend $50 to get, let's say, 50 ruples. We'll use ruples as the example because I don't even know what it is. We're pretending we're Zelda here. You spend that money and then you get the sword. Now, the problem is, and where this gets a little murky, isn't it then at that point play to win? Because you're kind of breaking that barrier, and you're kind of saying, well, normally a guy would have to work really hard to get this sword. Let's call it the Sword of Infinite No Vagina. Now, if he finally was able to get that sword after having no vagina for, let's say, 3 or 4 months, and he got it, that's the accomplishment in the game. Now, let's say this sword does more damage or whatever than the sword he had before. Now, if a guy can come in, convert real life money into fake money, buy the sword right away, and stab the dude who didn't get any vagina for 3 months, is it then a play to win scenario? Do you think that's going too far?
As a player, yeah, I can see that really sucking. But, as a business, no. Because, they all want to make money. But I think you have to find the balance. Now, I could see if somebody, let's say that the No Vagina sword sells for 50 game credits, right?
Right.
So does that mean somebody's actually going to have to come in, and is it going to be a 1-to-1 relation? Is it going to be $50 to get the 50, credits to buy the No Vagina sword? Or is it going to be like $1 gets me 100,000 rupees to get that 50 rupee sword? That's the key. I think what would be cool is if you're playing in the game and you get your credits, but if you're buying credits, it's a huge markup to get it.
Right.
So like
the
to
hurdle's
get one
larger.
game credit, it's going to cost you like $10
Gotcha.
or something like that.
Gotcha. I mean, I think what they were saying, I guess their justification, if you want to call it a justification. If you've ever played World of Warcraft or any other game, you know that there are these Chinese farmers out there. They're there every day. They spam your email, they spam your in-game mail, they spam you directly, and they all want you to go to XYZ dot whatever and buy gold from them because that's what they do. And in order to get this gold, a lot of these Chinese farmers will hack accounts. They'll break into your, secure account. They'll steal your character. They'll delete all of your gear, sell it for gold, strip your character down, and then mail that gold to another gold farmer who then sells that gold to a person like me or LB. And by switching to this model, I've never done that, by the way, switching to this model eliminates that. It takes all spam completely out of there. It removes any necessity to have Chinese gold farmers, and it completely breaks down this industry, which, by the way, it is an industry. Believe it or not, these guys make millions of dollars a year selling fake currency in games like World of Warcraft. Tons of money. So they're saying, well, look, guys, we don't want to be the bad guy here and say that it's play to win, but there's no more spam. We took out this entire market. If you want gold and you want to buy it and you're going to go buy it anyway, well, how about we just make the money instead of some Chinese gold farmer? And we use that money to build more content in the game. You know what I mean? It's kind of a blurred line there. You know what I mean?
It is, but then, then these guys are just going to offer at a better rate. That's the only thing is I don't think it's going to totally get rid of it. You're just going to find a better rate to get it at.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And it's safer.
You have this great new idea like, oh, yeah, we're going to get rid of spam this way. Well, now before, whatever would cost you $100 to get a million game credits, well, now they're going to be like, oh, well, it's only going to cost you $10 to get a million game credits, so you're going to have to spend $100 to Guild Wars, whoever's developing them, to get the same amount.
Yeah. So I mean, it works out. It's nice that you don't have to put your credit card out there to some random, Chinese gold farmer, which probably was never safe to begin with. So I mean, there's goods and bads there. But when you move this model then over again back to Halo or something like that, and this is another thing they're doing in Guild Wars, or they've talked about doing, because they really won't. So far, there's still an NDA on how the store works, and they've really been super tight-lipped about it because they want to get it right. They don't want to scare their gamers off. But what's been talked about is pay for experience boost. And what that would be is you would spend, let's say, $5 and you would get a buff. And when you played the game as you leveled up, instead of getting, X amount of experience, you get X amount of experience plus 15%, let's say. And so that gives you a slight advantage at leveling and moving your character forward in progression. Maybe you're a guy who doesn't have a lot of time, but you have the money. And so you can move your character along faster. Again, gray area, kind of play to win in a way because you have that advantage. Is that shady in a Halo scenario where you're trying to, let's say unlock perks, or because I know Halo's going over to the Call of Duty thing for whatever reason. Would that be something that you would maybe pay for in that scenario? Or we can even use Call of Duty as an example.
No, not really, because in Halo and Call of Duty, you can get it just by playing. Yeah, it's going to take you longer, and initially you might be at a disadvantage, but you're eventually going to get the same stuff. The only time I can say it's going to be a detriment is if you can get something without being just able to play. That's where I'd be like, no way, I'm out.
Right,
not happening.
So Deep saying there is no Call of Duty perks in the new Halo. I actually thought they were kind of going to that model I thought they were using squads or something. But I mean, even if they're not using squads, let's say, there still is that experience gain going from when you first start Halo to whatever. Is that something that you would then do? Spend the money on Halo to boost your Halo character to get to? I mean, it's almost like the feeling that a lot of these games are putting in these RPG elements, whether we like them or not, and that's kind of where all this is coming from. And so they're able to charge money to sort of move a progression forward, even if you don't have time to do it. I mean, I feel like people would pay for that. I do. And a part of me does feel like it's a little play to win. Where it really gets more defined is if you say, at X level, you get this gun. This gun is great. Everyone wants this gun, but you got to play to get the gun. At the same time, you could spend $15 to get the boost to get the gun. So you get the gun faster because you have more experience and you move forward faster. That's where the real big question of, is that then pay to win? Or is it okay? Does it work just how it would if you were to spend the time to actually play the game to get the money or to get the item? Would that be okay in your mind?
God, it's a good question, dude. I'm still kind of thinking about
I'm
it.
keeping it real right now. I'm keeping it real.
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if it was like, okay, well, you got to pay an extra $5 to be able to use the BR on day one,
Right.
and then it's going to take you, say, if it would take a significant amount of time to get to use the BR, not like, oh, if he plays a week, he'll have it, or oh, if he plays 5 hours, he have it. And if it'd be like, no, you need like 30 days worth of gameplay to get it, then yeah, I might consider doing that off the bat, because I mean, it's a lot of game time.
Right. Well, Core brings up a good point, which is they have that for Battlefield 3. Right now, you can buy all kits unlocked. I can't remember how much it is, like $20, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You get everything. You don't have to level up. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And I would say, while I do agree with you with the statement that Core's making, which is that as long as a guy's a better shot, he'll win 9 times out of 10. I agree with that in most cases. But I do think there are guns that in Battlefield that play better than some of the other guns. And you don't get those guns till later on. I have guns that I use in Battlefield where I personally, whether it's mental or not, feel like I do better with them than I do without them. And whether or not that's considered an advantage, my mental advantage, if you will, it's still an advantage for me. I still feel like it's an advantage. And certainly when they came out with this map pack thing or this unlock deal of all the kits, I felt a little like, man, that's kind of bullshit. Like, that's a little, it's not play to win, but it's that, again, it's that gray area where I'm paying money to skip ahead of the line and get things that people have worked X amount of months for. I don't know, man.
And I can see doing it like, I think there's just like a vehicle pack that you can get. And in my case, I would really consider getting that because, I don't fly around in the copter, enough, or I don't do that well in a jet, excuse me, enough to unlock the heat seekers. It's going to take me forever. That's not going to happen for me. But, spend $10 or $20 and it's done,
Yeah.
But I can see, if I was somebody that really, did nothing, if they got in the game and I just went straight for the helicopter every time and I flew that and I unlocked everything, I'd be upset if somebody just came in and paid $20 and be like, okay, now I can fly it too.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels weird. And I mean, it's a great discussion. I'm glad we thought to do free to play today because I don't know. I don't have the answers. I sometimes I feel like it works and sometimes I don't. Talking even about this FPS stuff has really kind of even got me thinking even more. I mean, I think Battlefield is doing a service to some people who don't have time. I mean, there's just guys out there. They work all the time. They come home. They play maybe an hour of Battlefield a day, and then they got to hit the sack and go to bed and do anything else. They don't have the time to sit in their room, play 30 hours at a clip, and unlock everything in 2 weeks. And so it works really well for people like that. But at the same time, does it affect the community that's really adamant about playing and getting better and doing their own thing? I honestly, I don't know. I think it's an interesting question, one that we'll be seeing a lot more of in the next couple of years, especially with these games like Guild Wars starting out free to play, telling you should buy stuff. I don't know. Great games, though. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for this week. That was a really interesting topic. Hopefully next week we can. What were we talking about doing next week? We had 2 things we were going to do this week, and then we.
Wasn't it like?
It's good stuff, I thought. Right?
Maps or something? Or...
Oh, yeah. So next week, I think what we're going to do is talk about the whole rehash idea. We talk about it a lot.
Yes.
But is it okay to buy a map pack or any piece of content that's been redone and resold to you? It happens in MMOs. They do it with these raid instances where you played a raid 4 years ago. They redo the raid and that they call that an expansion or they call that a new tier. Or they do it in console games where you buy a map pack and it's like, Hang 'em High, the new version, the game that you played 4 years ago. Is that okay? Should you pay for that? That's what we'll be talking about next week. Thanks again, everyone that showed up to actually come out and listen to us babble about stupid shit for the last hour. As always, you can find us on Twitch TV/Tool to Play, or on our YouTube channel where we'll post this every Thursday. The repost of what we did live at YouTube/Tool to Play. Go ahead and subscribe to both of those. And of course, LB, where can they find you on the internets?
You can tweet me at LBSUTKE.
You're my hero. And if for some reason you actually want to talk to me and it's not about yelling at me for something that's shitty on the site, you can tweet me at Dude I Rock. DOODIROCK. All right, guys. See you next week. Peace out.
Late.
Fuck you, LB.
Wait, I gotta pull on my fancy hat.
You're not free to play. You're free to gay.
Wow. Yeah. And then get that.
Damn.
And then the beer.
Damn. Dude, that monocle, though, I'm saying, I might actually buy a real monocle to use. Oh, by the way, I didn't record the first 10 minutes of the show. I totally forgot to hit record. I'm going to have to fill that in later. Just do my own thing.